All right, well, good morning, seventh grade. We are continuing along here. We're looking at section 4.5 today, lesson 4.5. And we have one set of directions we're going to be using today. We're going to be using addition and subtraction to solve inequalities. So our directions that we're going to be looking at today tell us to solve the inequality, graph the solution. So first one, y minus 6 is greater than 7. Well, when we do these, what we want to do is we want to think of it as y minus 6 equals negative 7. All right, and we're just going to kind of take a look at it like that. So now I know my situation. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. That's going to be 0. I'm going to go negative 7 plus 6, which is going to be negative 1. And that leaves me with y equals negative 1. But I'm going to think of it as y is greater than negative 1 because it gave me the greater than sign, okay? Which means now I'm ready to make an inequality. Now I know that y is on the bigger side of the equation because it's open to it. So I know my line is going to be going right. So I can go ahead and make my line going right. I also know it's going to start at negative 1, okay? And then I want to put a minimum of 5 numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3. Imagine that 0 is the middle of the number line, and the numbers keep going positive infinitely that way, negative infinitely that way. All right, let's try another one. B minus 3.8 is less than or equal to 1.7. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go B minus 3.8 is equal to 1.7. Well, now I know to get rid of the negative 3/8, I have to add 3.8 to both sides. So that's going to give me 0. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add 3.8. 7 plus 8 is 5. Put the 5 down, carry the 1, drop the decimal. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. I get 5.5. I can see from my inequality, my b is on the smaller side because the mouth of my greater than or less than sign is closed toward the b. So I know my line is going to go to the left. The number is going to be getting smaller. I also know that it's going to start at 5.5 because I've been left here with b is equal to 5.5, or essentially b is less than or equal to 5.5, okay? And since it can be equal to 5.5, I know it's going to be a shaded circle that starts at 5.5 and then gets smaller. 5.4, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1. All right, let's move right along. Negative 1/2 is greater than z minus 1/4, okay? Negative 1/2 is greater than z minus 1/4. Well, I want to first set this up as negative 1/2 is equal to z minus 1/4. Well, then I know I'm going to add 1/4 to both sides. That's going to give me 0 here. I'm going to come over here and add 1/4. Now, just to be safe, I know what the answer should be, but to plug in things to our calculator, once again, just to kind of demonstrate with fractions, it's going to be negative 1/2 plus 1/4. So I want to come in here, and we're going to have 1 fraction bar 2 negative plus 1/4. That's going to leave me a negative 1/4. So that's going to tell me here that z is equal to negative 1/4, or essentially, okay, I get 1/4 here, okay, so I'm going to end up with negative 1/4 is greater than z, because my negative 1/4 is actually on this side here, and it's greater than z. So since my z, don't be fooled because the z is on the right side. That's why this is a good example. The z is still on the smaller side of the inequality. which means my line is going to move to the left because it's going to get smaller. I know it's also going to start at -1/4, and it's going to be an unshaded circle because it says 1/4 is greater than z. Z is less than. So z cannot equal 1/4, but z can equal things that are less than 1/4. And I can go, well, -1 1/4. I could go -2 1/4. I could go -3 1/4. And then to have my fifth number, -4 1/4. And there you get an idea of what that number line should be. All right, moving right along. W plus 3 is less than or equal to 1. So first of all, I'm going to set this up as W plus 3 equals 1. Then I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides because I'm still isolating the variable. You'll see how this is essentially solving equations, just presenting your answers in a different way. -3, that gives me 0. -3 here, 1 minus 3 is -2. So that leaves me with W is equal to -2, which essentially means that W is less than or equal to -2. Well, the fact that the W, once again, is on the smaller side of the inequality, it is less than or equal to -2, tells me that my line is going to be going left. When it's less than, the line's going to go left. When it's greater than, the line's going to go right. That's where the inequality is. I see it's going to start at -2 because that's what it says there. It's also going to be shaded because it says W can be equal to -2. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that circle. And then I'm just going to put in the smaller numbers. -3, -4, -5, -6. All right, moving right along. 8.5 greater than or equal to D plus 10. So I'm going to set this up as 8.5 equals D plus 10. I can isolate my D. I want to subtract 10 from both sides. That gives me 0 here. Subtracting 10 here. If I go into my calculator, just to kind of make sure, 8.5 minus 10, that's what I have there, 8.5 minus 10, should equal a -1.5. Yeah, there we go, -1.5. So that's going to equal a -1.5. That leaves me with -1.5 equals D, or I can think of it as -1.5 for my number line purposes, and graph is greater than or equal to D. Now, once again, don't be confused. D, we read this as -1.5 is greater than or equal to D, but the D is on the smaller side of the inequality. The D is on the smaller side of the inequality, which means that my line is going to be moving left. And it's going to be -1.5. All right? It says it can be equal to D, greater than or equal to, which means it's going to be a shaded circle. Then I go ahead here, -2.5, -3.5, -4.5, -5.5. All right? Last one. X plus 3/4 is greater than 1.5. Well, I'm going to set this up as an equation. X plus 3/4 equals 1.5. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 3/4 from both sides. That's going to give me 0 minus 3/4. Well, 1.5 is a fraction. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Instead of 1.5, I'm going to think of this as 3/2. So in my calculator, I'm going to plug in 3/2 minus 3/4. So we go to our calculator here, 3 over 2 minus 3 over 4, and that should give us 3 over 4, because the 1.5 is 1.5 minus 3/4 is 3/4. So that's going to equal 3/4. So now that tells me that x is equal to 3/4, or since it uses the greater than sign, I'm going to think of it for my graph as x is greater than 3/4. Okay? Which means my line is going to go to the right. So I'm going to set up a circle. It's going to go to the right, and I know it's going to start at 3/4. It's going to be an unshaded circle because x is not equal to 3/4. It says that x is greater than 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead here. 1 3/4, 2 3/4, 3 3/4, 4 3/4 to get at least my 5 numbers on the number line. All right, that's graphing addition and subtraction equations with inequalities. All right, talk to you later, 7th grade. Bye.